You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome to the program, everyone. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. Thanks so much, everyone, for tuning in. I was just reading this story on Breitbart. And, you know, there's this whole thing going on. We've got this East Coast, West Coast thing going on. I know Texas isn't on the West Coast, but for the purposes of the analogy.
Like the Crips and the Bloods.
Yeah, you know, and that's Governor Greg Abbott sending all these illegals to New York City. And there's a story on Breitbart out of New York City today. Border crossers are awarded free health care, free cell phones, upon arriving in New York City. Border crossers arriving in New York City on migrant buses sent by Texas Governor Greg Abbott are being awarded health care services as well as free cell phones, among other things. The New York Post is reporting that New York City's hospital system held an event for arriving border crossers at a hospital in the Bronx where they were offered health care services along with free cell phones, food, library cards, and school supplies. And Adams is setting this up. Now, a couple of things about this. Nothing burns people up more than illegals coming here and getting free stuff. We don't mind giving them food because everyone's got to eat and water. And so far as healthcare, emergency healthcare services are okay. Non-emergency or not, but they're giving them non-emergency healthcare. They're giving them cards for free insurance, you know. And what Mayor Adams is doing here is trying to turn – he thinks he's so smart, but Mayor Adams is a liberal, so he's not smart. He's stupid. Mayor Adams is thinking that if New York City gives these illegals that Abbott's busing to New York all this free stuff, that conservatives will get ticked off and get Greg Abbott to stop sending them to New York so they don't get the free phone, free health care, and all this other free stuff, free housing and free everything else.
Well, hold on.
Yeah.
Why would they care if they're in Texas? That'll make Greg Abbott look good. Let New York pay for this crap.
Yeah. Well,
why should we pay for it? This is not a national
Adams
issue
is stupid.
In Texas.
Yeah, Adams is stupid.
It's a local issue.
No, I understand. But Mayor Adams is stupid.
Well, that's for sure.
And another thing is this, okay? It's not just conservatives that get upset when illegals get all this free stuff. Black liberals get very upset because when you give free things like this to illegals, black liberals are like, well, wait a minute, that's our reparations you're giving them.
A lot of them do think
they
that
think
way.
those, yeah, they do. They think those benefits are for them and them alone, not people from other countries. So Mayor Adams is just on a road to destruction that he can't get himself out of with this. I love it.
Well, it really makes me angry that they're getting free health care because I just paid a bill yesterday for Emily. Now, we pay her insurance $500 a month for our daughter's health insurance. And that's not even the top plan. That's like the second to top. So she has good health insurance. I don't mind paying it. She needs to have it. But I got a bill in the mail. She had some scan done, I don't even remember, at the hospital from like a year ago, 2 years ago. Her insurance, for some reason, didn't fully cover this particular test. I just paid $400 yesterday for this bill.
Do we even know that she had this scan?
Yeah, no, she did. I'm sure. I mean, it was a bill from this particular hospital nearby. And that's not the first time we've had to pay a hospital bill. A long time ago.
On top of the insurance.
On top of the insurance
that
we had to pay. But let's give, and I'm sure I'm not the only one who deals with this. And if you don't pay those bills, eventually they go on your credit score. So it would be on Emily's credit. I don't want that to happen to her. So I paid it. I've had to pay many of those kinds of little bills over the years for her.
$400 is not little.
$400 here, $300 there. So I think people get very upset when they have to shell out all this money for their own health care. Look, it's my responsibility. I paid it. But I don't think that I should have to pay higher premiums and higher bills at a hospital to compensate for other people who should not even be here, and I'm paying their hospital bills because you're going to take up that cost.
And think about this. So Mayor Adams in New York City is giving illegals free health insurance, free health care. I don't even have health insurance, okay? Because of my age, courtesy of Obamacare, the health insurance monthly premium is through the roof and the deductible is through the roof. So I would have to pay $15,000 a year before I got one penny of health insurance coverage. So I don't even have health insurance. When I go to the doctor and get prescriptions and I get tests, I pay them out of pocket. Luckily, we have a sponsor for the lab test. Any lab test now at Boca? Any lab test now at Coral Springs? Mm-hmm. But I don't even have insurance. These people are fresh off the, well, not the boat, fresh off the bus. They're illegal, and they already have health care. And then on top of that, we're paying $6,000 a year for our daughter's insurance. Mm-hmm. And these people here, fresh off the bus from Texas, illegal.
Plus I pay my insurance.
Yeah, they're getting everything covered for free. And they can go to an emergency room, and if they have a procedure that's not covered, so what? They don't have anything to go after. They don't even have a green card, so they don't have to pay for that. Here's what you do.
Go to Mexico, dye your hair brown, and get some spray tan, and go through the border, and you'll get all kinds of free stuff.
Yeah, I guess so.
Got to blend in.
I guess so. Now, Steve Kane and I talked to Dick Morris this morning on the radio, and this was absolutely an amazing conversation, and we got a lot of information from Dick Morris. And you got to understand, Dick Morris is a senior advisor to President Trump, okay? And he talks to President Trump daily. He's been his advisor for a couple of years, and he's currently his top political advisor. So when we talk to Dick Morris, it's as if we're talking to President Trump, because whatever Dick Morris is saying, it's as if it's coming out of the mouth of Donald Trump himself. And we talked to Dick Morris.
I would say they speak every day.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
I think he has a handful of people he talks to on a very regular basis, including Dick Morris would be one of them.
Absolutely. They talk every day. And Dick Morris talked to Steve Kane and I today about this break-in of Mar-A-Lago and came out with a bunch of stuff that was pretty interesting and certainly confirming a lot of things we suspected, but now we know because they came from Trump and his legal team through Dick Morris. And one of the things that Dick Morris told us, I'd asked him about this, when they broke into Mar-A-Lago with that warrant, they had nothing specific in mind they wanted. They just ransacked Mar-A-Lago, looking for anything they could find sitting around that they thought they could use against Trump. And
that's what we initially thought, that it was another fishing expedition.
That's right.
Yeah.
And they hate, and that was Dick Morris telling us that. Yeah. So that's fascinating to get confirmation of that from the president's team. And that goes back to he shared some other things, which I'll talk about in a moment, but that goes back to what I've been telling you guys for the last few weeks, that their Trump derangement syndrome is so severe. They believe that Trump is such a criminal that if they break into his house, which, by the way, is closed for the summer because he's living up at Trump Tower and at New Jersey's Bedminster and all that he's just got illegal stuff lying all over the place. And what they think, because I've heard some of these people talking on MSNBC and other places over the weekend, they think that President Trump has illegally photocopied classified documents, and they were just expecting to see all this stuff around.
Wow.
And Dick Morris said, again, I know a lot of you are saying, well, I've known this. No, you've suspected this. We got confirmation from President Trump's team with Dick Morris. There's a difference between when you suspect something you don't know, you have to confirm it. And, that's very important. We did a lot of confirming today. And Dick Morris said for certain that they have nothing that they gathered there that they can use against Trump, because it's 2 weeks today since the break-in of Mar-A-Lago, and there's been no press conference, and they haven't come forward. And
if they had something, we would have known within 24 hours.
Absolutely.
We would have known within 24 hours. It's been like 2 weeks. They got nada.
They got nothing.
Zippo. Another nothing burger.
Yeah.
They must be getting full on those nothing burgers because they've eaten a lot of them.
It's really amazing. And I was so glad we talked to Dick Morris this morning, and he offered that up. He offered a lot of other things, too. I asked Dick Morris if he thinks Garland will indict President Trump, and he said absolutely. And that means President Trump is expecting to be indicted by Garland.
If they found nothing, though, what will they indict him on? They have to have a reason.
Well, it's that old expression that Dick Morris used today. He says in a grand jury, you can indict a ham sandwich. So, you can indict anything and anyone.
Let him do it
in a grand jury. And
nothing they've tried has worked. They're pathetic.
They don't understand. They don't understand because there's this constant theme. We were talking, Bill Maher last week said this, Jim Acosta over the weekend. They keep saying that President Trump is so lucky. He just gets away with all these things and these events. He's not lucky. He's a law-abiding, squeaky clean Marine.
He's not getting away with anything.
Because he hasn't done anything.
That's what they don't understand.
That's
it's
right.
not luck. It's not getting away with anything. It's just that there's nothing there. There's nothing there, but they can never admit that to themselves or to their viewers. But, the audience knows this. I mean, look at what's happening at CNN. Brian Stelter just got fired. His show got canceled because the ratings were so bad. Acosta, Lemon, they're all going to go down because their ratings are in the toilet because they keep spewing lies. They never correct the record. They never learn from their mistakes. TDS has had such a huge impact on so many lives on the left. When you really think about it, somebody should write a book on this. The effects of TDS on politics.
Well, that's why Brian Stelter was fired.
And how many careers. Now, a lot of people have Trump has helped their career, but I think that'd be a really fascinating book if somebody really looks at how the Trump effect would be a good title. How many careers has he affected in the media, good or bad? There are people that have written books, that have gotten TV shows because of it. That one girl, Katie, whatever her face is, that's on MSNBC. Remember, she used to follow Trump around during the campaign?
Yes.
She's got a show now because she was always on TV following Trump. She wrote a book about being on the campaign. How many people's careers have been helped or hurt because of Trump and their reaction to him? And I think it'd be interesting.
The Trump derangement syndrome is why Brian Stelter got fired from CNN.
I think so.
And, I think
and his unappealing
there's a list of a bunch of other liberal jerks from CNN they're going to go to. I think they did Brian Stelter first because he's high profile and they wanted the other guys to kind of get used to the idea that this is going to happen.
No, I think they did him first because he has one show on one day and it's easier to...
Yeah. Oh, you don't think they're going to get rid of like Don Lemon?
No, I think they will, but Don Lemon has 5 days a week they got to fill.
Yeah.
This is 1 hour, 1 week. So I think it's an easier thing to fill right now. So they'll fill that. And then they're going to systematically, then it'll be Acosta. He has another 1 hour show a week. He'll be next. And then they'll work on the primetime lineup where they have to fill, primetime 5 slots.
Brian Stelter, there are not very many people who are named Brian that are likable or not dorks. I mean, there's only 2 Brians that are cool. Me,
of course,
and Bryan Cranston from Breaking Bad. Every other Brian
he's a big liberal.
Yeah, I know he is, isn't he? Isn't he? I know. But Breaking Bad's cool. But Brian Stelter, Catherine and I were talking over the weekend. What's going to be next for this guy? He's so unlikable.
Nothing.
No one likes this guy.
No, you mentioned to me that he'll have a YouTube channel and
or
he
podcast.
Might like Megyn Kelly, but I think he'll have a podcast. I think that's the route he'll go, maybe interview people, but he will not be back on TV.
What Brian Stelter should do is do his own thing and do his own version of what Joe Rogan is doing. Do a podcast that also is on YouTube. And
he could do that, interview people and still be politically involved.
And his first guest, and I mean this is what if I'm not joking. If I were Brian Stelter, this is exactly what I would do, and I'll tell you who his first guest should be.
I know who you're going to say.
But Brian Stelter should do a podcast exactly like Joe Rogan that streams on all the podcast platforms and also is on YouTube. He should do in-studio guests that are serious, top-tier, named newsmakers, but his first guest should be Mark Dice.
No.
Yeah, Mark
That'll
Dice.
never happen.
Mark Dice, who's made like a whole YouTube channel mocking him. I like Mark Dice. He does a lot more than that.
Mark Dice.
But Mark Dice should be his first guest to get over that lump of that hill. And also, Mark Dice would bring a lot of people to his show.
It'll never happen. His first guest will be Jeff Zucker.
Who cares?
That'll be his first
Jeff
guest. They're
Zucker.
buddies. He got fired. They both got
cares?
fired from CNN. They're buddies. That will be his first guest, and they'll trash CNN together.
Well, that might be.
I'm making a prediction. That will be his first guest if he does a podcast. Mark Dice will never be on his show.
That would be the perfect first guest.
His ego's too thin.
Mark Dice and then
I agree,
Zucker.
but it'll never happen. Zucker is more realistic, and that's who I think would be his first. They both have nothing better to do, so why not? They might even do a show together.
what happens a lot of times with people like Brian Stelter.
And Jeffrey Tube and the three of them, they can do their circle jerks.
Yeah, what happened with Brian Stelter, I see happen with a lot of people that are in media. They become very self-important and think that they are masters of the universe and are changing the world and are so influential, and they forget that they just work for somebody in the end. And Brian Stelter forgot that, and he thought that he was very important, a mover and a shaker, and he's really a punk that no one likes, and he has no influence. People hate him.
Well, and he liked to think of himself as like a hall monitor, and nobody likes hall monitors.
Well, you could
like
be
the media hall monitor, like the arbiter of truth. Give me a break.
You could be a media hall monitor if you have the credibility of being a journalist that is respected and has a history of good reporting. Mm-hmm. I can't think of someone who could fill that's currently around, but I don't even know who this guy, where he came from, or who he is, or who he was, and why he became so important.
Well, Greg Gutfeld showed a clip on his show, because I record his show at night and watch it the next day. I think he's hilarious. And he used to work with Brian Stelter on some show a long time ago. It was some clip on some TV thing when Brian Stelter weighed 400 pounds. He was absolutely repulsive, even more than he is now, which is impossible to believe. And Greg Gutfeld had dark brown hair. I almost didn't recognize him. And there was a brief clip of them talking and laughing. And this was probably from 20 years ago, 15, 20 years ago, before either of them were on CNN or Fox. If anybody knows that show, put it in the comments. So they've known each other from those circles. And I don't think either one hosted the show. They were probably just guests. I don't know anything about it. Maybe it was Brian Stelter's show. Maybe it was on YouTube. I don't know. But he did show a clip of them on a show together. And so I don't know how Brian Stelter got on TV. He definitely has a face for radio.
I don't like to see anyone lose.
And a body, too, for that matter.
Yeah. I don't like to see anyone lose their job. But I can't stand Brian Stelter. I think he was a punk, a bully on CNN, and just not a pleasant person. Now, I want to make an announcement to everyone. This is very exciting, and this is really good news. Now, I know a lot of you know that every year Steve Kane and I take a listener cruise, and unfortunately, Kathy is not permitted because of her health issues to leave the country. Okay, so Kathy unfortunately can't go on the listener cruises, but Steve Kane and I do a listener cruise each and every year. And we have a listener cruise coming up in January, which is our first cruise in 2 years because of COVID. And we haven't been really talking or promoting the cruise too much. We have a good number of people that are booked to go with us, but I've been waiting for something. And we got the official notice today, and that is vaccinations are no longer required for cruising in the United States of America. So if you join Steve Kane and me, my daughter is going, and my mother-in-law is also going, Kathy's mother and her husband, and a whole bunch of Steve Kane listeners. Steve Kane's coming with his wife, Lori, and we're going to have a great time. It's a week-long cruise. We leave January 29th out of Fort Lauderdale on the Celebrity Apex.
Which is a beautiful ship, by the way.
Oh, yeah, it's brand new. It's the most modern cruise ship on the ocean. And the most expensive cruise ship ever built. Isn't that something? That's on the seas right now. And if you go to YouTube, look up Celebrity Apex. It will blow your mind away. I've not been on the Apex. I took a tour of its sister ship, the Celebrity Edge, which is the original in that class of ship. And it's unlike any other cruise ship you've ever seen. It is so modern, so new, so cool. It's hard to explain, so you got to go and look up the videos of it on YouTube. Just look up Celebrity Apex, and you'll get a look at it. But it is official today that vaccinations are not required for cruising in the United States. So those of you that have wanted to go and have not booked and scheduled because you have to be vaccinated, you no longer have to be vaccinated. I'm going to give you the number for our travel agent, Ian, at Cruise and Travel Depot, and I'm going to tell you something. I'm not one of these guys when I do an ad saying, act now or you'll miss your opportunity, unless it's true. Because they have just announced today, there are officially, from the cruise line, vaccinations no longer required. People are booking cruises up like mad.
Oh, yeah. Ian's been getting a lot of phone calls.
Yeah. And this cruise ship is going to fill up, and it's going to fill up quick. And we've got incredible prices. Let me tell you where we're going, though. We're leaving out of Fort Lauderdale. It's a 7-day cruise. And we've got 3 stops. We're going to my favorite place in the Caribbean, which is San Juan, Puerto Rico. And we're planning a beautiful shore excursion in San Juan, Puerto Rico. We're going to the British Virgin Islands. I've been to the U.S. Virgin Islands, that side of the island, but never been to the British side. So
do they drive on the other side in the British side? Do they switch?
In the U.S. Virgin Islands, they drive on the left side of the road.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, they do, because it'd be very confusing if on half the island.
There's like a roundabout where you switch sides.
It'd be a deadly roundabout, wouldn't it?
Be interesting.
No, so even in the U.S. Virgin Islands, they drive on the left side of the road.
Oh, cool.
I did not know that until we went there on one of our cruises. So we Fort Lauderdale, San Juan, Puerto Rico. Then we're going to the British Virgin Islands, and then I forgot the third place. I'll look it up, but it's a great place. I just forgot the name of it. But it is going to be a great time. You are all invited, and
I think you like Puerto Rico for the rum.
I like the reason I like San Juan, Puerto Rico.
They got the Bacardi.
Is when you is the rum and the pina coladas, of course, are pretty cool. But when you go to San Juan, Puerto Rico, the part where we dock at is called Old San Juan, and it's like going back in time to the times of Pirates of the Caribbean. They have the cobblestone streets.
Do they have a pirate museum there? Because pirates did live. They did live all throughout the Caribbean, the Bahamas.
Yeah, there are 2 Spanish forts that are there now.
Cool.
Last time we went there a few years back, we went to one of them. That's the small one. We're going to go to the big one, which we didn't go to last time, the big Spanish fort. And we're setting up a shore excursion in San Juan. And I told Ian from Cruise and Travel Depot, at some point on this shore excursion in San Juan, Puerto Rico, there has to be pina coladas and rum involved. So,
absolutely,
so that's got to be involved in it. Drinks are included, by the way, when you go on the cruise. There's a lot of other perks as well. We have dinner together every night. And this ship, the Celebrity Apex, has a whole bunch of dining rooms that are really cool. We're going to eat in a different restaurant every night, but be together as a group.
And it has that bar on the side of the ship that goes up and down.
It's called the Magic Carpet.
Which I think is really, that's worth the price alone.
It's pretty cool.
Literally a bar on the side of the ship that goes up and down the ship. I've never seen anything like that.
Let me tell you, this cruise is...
That's amazing.
You hear how excited Kathy is, and she's not even going.
I know.
I wish you could go, Kathy.
It's a bummer.
I know it is. It is. I know. I feel bad.
I'm excited for you.
I feel bad.
I'm excited for everybody going.
Kathy can't go, but you guys can. And we have a lot of not just shore excursions, dinner together every night, a lot of onboard activities that we'll be doing together. So call Ian from Cruise and Travel Depot, and I'm telling you, book soon. And just one last thing about it. Ian will give you the price when you call. And the price varies based on a whole bunch of factors, what kind of cabin you get, where on the ship you are. There's 80 different factors that factor into what the cost is. And, of course, there are different size cabins and different things like this. If you go in our group, you will be going for less money than anybody else on the ship because we booked this up during the height of the COVID pandemic when the entire cruise industry on the planet Earth was shut down and cruise lines weren't running. I told Ian, we got to plan this now. We're going to get a great price, and we did. So we got our group rate at the height of the COVID pandemic. So you're going to get a chance to go on a luxury cruise ship for the lowest price you will ever be able to go on a ship like this, and you'll be paying less money than anybody else on board. So let me give you Ian's number, 561-244-5779, 561-244-5779. That's Ian from Cruise and Travel Depot. And tell him you want to go on the cruise with Steve and Brian, and he'll set you up. 561-244-5779. So when we were talking to Dick Morris today, President Trump and his team are going to go to federal court. It's expected this week. Even still could happen today. It could happen today still, but it's expected to happen soon. And get this whole search thrown out. I'm not a criminal, so I don't really know about search warrants and stuff, but I've been learning a lot in the last 2 weeks since they broke into Mar-A-Lago. when you have a search, I did not know this, and maybe you guys out there knew it, but I just don't worry about these types of things. It's never been an issue because I'm a law-abiding person like Donald Trump, and now he's got to worry about these things.
Exactly.
Right?
He never had to worry about it either.
Until they knock down your door.
This is the new America.
But when they have a search warrant, they have to be very specific about what they're coming in for.
Right.
They can't just have an open-ended search warrant. I don't like this guy. I want a search warrant, and I'm going to go through all this crap for 9 hours, and maybe I'll find something.
Maybe that's why they don't want to release the order because there's nothing specific on that.
That's right. So this search warrant is an illegal search warrant that's not going to hold up in the federal courts because it was what's the legal term? It was too broad.
Well, I really hope if and when the Republicans take over the House and the Senate that they do something about all this going on, that they look into this, they investigate this, and that some heads will roll over this because this is ridiculous. This is nonsense. This should not be happening with a president of the United States. It's absolutely crazy, and I don't know how anybody could defend this, whether they don't like Donald Trump or not. They haven't released any details. We don't know anything about this. And the reason they're not releasing anything is because they don't want you to know. In fact, like we've pointed out, they didn't even tell anybody this raid happened. Trump is the one who told people on Truth. If he had never done that, you would never know. But he wanted you to know. He told people immediately on social media. But if he had never done that, what did they think? Did they think that he would be so ashamed he would keep this a secret? They really don't understand this man, and they really underestimate him. I think they just don't think like him. And he puts things all out in the open. He's very transparent. And he's like, this is what happened. And I think when he did that, I think they were like, holy crap. Like, what are we going to do now? I think they really felt that he would keep it quiet.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that they could just go and rummage through Melania's underwear find something.
This is what I think's happening. So I found out today, because I was a little concerned about this, when Trump's team goes to court to get the search warrant tossed, would they have to go to that same federal magistrate that signed off on it to do it? Because he's not going to throw out his own search that he authorized.
I don't know.
And no, they're going to a real federal judge, not a magistrate. And we know that they have the Trump family, that they have video inside, right?
Yeah, they need to release that.
Well, I think they're holding on to it to show the judge that they're going to have the search tossed out, to show how they had no idea what they were looking for and that they just rummage through the whole house in a desperate search for something.
Right. They want to show the judge first because maybe there's something, if they release it, then they can no longer
use that argument.
Maybe. So I think you're right about that.
Yeah. Yeah. And when they see that they spent 9 hours just going through everything just in a desperate search. And I'll tell you, President Trump, whatever type of video surveillance you have, it's modern and up to date. High definition with great audio.
It'll get released eventually. Never fear. Trump will definitely. He might even turn that into a campaign ad. How great would that be? They rummage through Melania's closet. Boom, boom, boom.
You know what he should do?
That would be amazing.
He should release it like online for pay-per-view. He could fund the whole re-election campaign in 2024. I'd pay $20 to Trump to see that.
And I wonder if the video has audio.
I hope it does.
The audio is extremely
beautiful.
Important because it's not enough to see what they're doing. I want to hear what they're saying. I want to hear what they're talking about because that's where you're really going to see some revelations.
It'll be beautiful.
Is hearing what they say. Trust me. Yeah. That'll be more enlightening than just the video.
Well, it'll also give us a bit of the mindset because after they were in there 9 hours, right? 9 hours. How many hours into it until they started to get ticked off that they hadn't found anything?
Did they go have lunch? Did they go to the kitchen and make dinner?
Did they use Trump's toilet?
I mean, they're there 9 hours. They got to eat and go to the bathroom.
Did they use Trump's bidet?
Did they use his gold toilet
and his bidet?
And laugh about it? Oh, man. It'll be funny.
But I imagine at some point they're like, do you remember there was that video, Smuggler's Blues?
Yeah.
Who did Smuggler's Blues? Glenn Fry. Remember in the Glenn Fry,
I remember that
in the video for Smuggler's Blues, there's this scene in the video, right?
I remember.
Where the federal agents are going through the garbage of Glenn Fry, who's playing a drug dealer, and they're like, we got nothing, just garbage. And they're all covered in garbage. They were going through his garbage looking for some drug stuff. That's what happened at Mar-A-Lago. These agents, they break in and they're there for 9 hours. At some point, they got to be like, we're in trouble.
Yeah.
We found nothing. We've been here all day.
And you might even hear them on the tape saying that.
That's right.
You might hear them saying, "We got Jack, you know what."
Could you imagine?
I can't wait. It'll be fun.
Could you listen?
If he has 9 hours of video, what Trump would probably do is edit it together, and then they'll say, well, it's edited. Or what he should do is, like you said, somewhere release it all unedited, completely
it's gotta
unedited.
be unedited. It's got to be unedited.
And I don't think he should charge money. It should be open for the American people to see and put it up on Truth Social. Unedited. Do not edit a thing and put it out there.
That would be beautiful.
Yeah.
He'd have maybe put it on Rumble and then put the link on Truth because it probably is too long for a Truth video.
Yeah.
And that would be the most watched video in the history of videos. Or release it in
sections. First hour, second hour.
If Trump let me tell you something. I don't know.
I want to see them going into the building.
Whatever the world record is for the most viral video on any platform, Trump release of the video inside Mar-A-Lago during the search would break it. It would be the most watched video in the history of videos. I don't know what the number one is and how many views it has or anything else. And I know something may have been up there 10 years online. I'm talking about you put something up in its first week is going to break whatever record has previously been held, especially if there's sound.
Oh, yeah. I think you're right about that.
Yeah. Listen, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, there's a lot more to talk about. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. Back after this.
All of us are looking for ways to make our kitchen space more efficient, as well as aesthetically pleasing. If you're wanting to find a great way to display all the fruit or veggies you love to eat, check out the Zarami Fruit Hammock for the kitchen on Amazon. It's made out of cotton with wood sticks. It's a great way to store and display colorful and delicious produce in your kitchen. It fits perfectly under the kitchen cabinet, and it comes with 4 hooks. It's very easy to install and ready to hang in just seconds. This basket can hold lots of food and looks great no matter what your style. Order yours today on Amazon. Go to Amazon.com and search Zarami Fruit Hammock. That's Zarami. Zarami Fruit Hammock on Amazon. Neon is hot, and neon signs are perfect for your home, office, business, or to celebrate an event. Mastery Craft, that's all one word, Masteri, on Etsy.com, sell amazing neon signs at great prices. They have pre-made and custom signs that are perfect for all rooms and every occasion. Right now, receive a 25% discount on existing signs. Enjoy 40% off personalized designs. These are handmade neon signs with a nice, clean, professional look. They're easy to install and ready to go. If you want to bring a cool look to any space, get your neon sign from Mastery Craft. That's all one word, Masteri, on Etsy.com. From author Lorraine Kaplan Arbetter comes a book the entire family will enjoy, Sunshine the Fearless Dog, available on Amazon. Help a little dog teach her best friend how to love herself. Sunshine is a tiny little dog with a big personality. She doesn't let her size stop her from being true to herself. Now, she must use all of her puppy love and self-esteem to help her human sister realize her own worth. Can you help Sunshine teach her sister to embrace who she is? Find out when you read Sunshine the Fearless Dog. You'll learn to love yourself along the way, too. It's always important for kids to love themselves for who they are. Sunshine the Fearless Dog is a children's book that teaches kids the importance of loving yourself. This book is perfect for parents, grandparents, and teachers for classroom reading. Sunshine the Fearless Dog from author Lorraine Kaplan Arbetter is available in Kindle and paperback on Amazon. Order your copy right now.
You are listening to the Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
All right, welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. This is great news out of Wisconsin. Listen to this. A Wisconsin school district held firm against protesters upholding a ban on displaying LGBTQ or Black Lives Matter flags in classrooms or using preferred pronouns in school-related emails. In the face of opposition from numerous speakers Tuesday night last week at a school board hearing, the school board retained its position. You know, here's the thing, okay? LGBTQ pride flags, the only flags that belong in a school, a public school, are the United States flag, right? The flag of that state. And sometimes a school will have their own flag with a mascot on it, maybe something like that. But that's it. Political flags don't belong. And I'll talk about both of them. The first one is the LGBTQ pride flags. A flag about sexuality does not belong in a classroom with children. Give you an example. LGBTQ plus and whatever else they have on there is not the only sexuality. There are people that are in the swinging lifestyle, right? The swinging lifestyle, which means multiple partners, and that are married. Married couples bring in a third person of whatever different gender to, that is a sexual lifestyle. And you know what? People that are swingers are looked down upon, are not accepted in public. In some sleazy places, they're accepted. But if somebody has a job, no matter what that job is in the real normal world, and you find out that there are swingers, well, that affects them at work. People are like, whoa, what's up with this guy? I'm not advocating for them, but I'm saying that is a sexual preference. The swinging lifestyle is a sexual preference that adults choose to go into, where they deal with all kinds of prejudice. If they have a swinger flag, why should that be flying up in a school next to a pride flag for LGBTQ plus? Well, there are children
who's swinger flag.
A swinger flag.
I can only imagine what that looks like.
A swinger flag.
Oh my God.
If you've got a kid in school who's the child of swingers and people find out, they're going to be an outcast.
You don't want them to feel
swinger
excluded.
pride. And there are other sexualities too. I use swinger because even though it's not really a taboo, it's big enough for people to say, whoa, that's weird, right?
Well, and also,
so why don't they get a flag?
Liberals are offended by the American flag.
That's for sure.
And they get triggered by the American flag, and they see that as a political flag and as an activist flag. So they feel that they should be able to hang up their flag too. I understand in their mind, they think that it helps gay kids, and there are gay kids, like high school, I'm thinking, not elementary. I'm thinking high school. There are kids in high school that they're gay and they know they're gay. And I understand they want them to feel comfortable. But you don't need to hang up a flag to do that. And if you hang up one flag, then they're going to want to start hanging up other flags. I've seen pictures of classrooms on TikTok where the walls are covered with Black Lives Matter, LGBT, all different kinds of flags for different political things. And the problem is when you go down that slippery slope, and like I said, you hang up one flag, then you got to hang up another flag for this group and another flag for that group. I think it's sufficient for a high school only to have like a gay club if they want to do that. And if the school, I have no problem with that, to make the kids feel like they have a place to go and they have other.
Yeah, but the gay flag shouldn't be up in the classroom.
Definitely not. I don't think those flags belong in the classroom. I personally feel the only flags should be, like you said, the American flag,
state
and
flag.
the state flag,
and maybe if the school has a flag for their mascot.
I've never seen that, but American flag and the state flag, that's it. I don't think that teachers should be allowed. The problem is when you have a classroom and you're decorating the classroom, which all teachers do at the beginning of the year. Too many of these teachers now are decorating it. It's about themselves. They're making it about them. And I'm gay, so I'm going to make this a rainbow room and all this stuff.
A rainbow room.
It's not about you. It's about making the kids, the best way to make all the kids feel comfortable is to have no flags. How are straight kids going to feel if there's a whole room of rainbow flags? It'd make me feel a little weird, So here's the solution. No flags, okay? No flags. So that way, nobody gets feeling weird and nobody gets offended by anything. When you start hanging up flags, then you're going to really start upsetting people and parents and this and that. So no flags, stick to the academics. When you decorate a board, the way they used to do it back in the day when we were in school is like if you went to a history classroom, they would hang up pictures of the founding fathers and historical figures and things like that. And if you went into a math room, they'd have things with numbers and all this stuff. Keep it strictly academic. So the way a principal or a school district would handle it is a teacher can only decorate their classroom with things that are academically themed.
That's right.
That's it. If it's not themed academically, it cannot hang up, and no personal photos. I never kept personal photos in my classroom. Why would I want my students to know what my family looks like or it's private? So just make that a rule. No personal stuff and only decorations that have to do with the subject you're teaching. So I'm good for them for standing up
I
for that.
remember
this is ridiculous.
Here in South Florida, about 20 years ago, a swingers club got...
You're just stuck on the swingers.
Well, no, this happened with teachers. A swingers club got busted for something, like serving alcohol without a license or something. And there were 2 school teachers there. And they got fired. How many times have you heard? I've heard this story about half a dozen times over the years. A school teacher has been a school teacher for many years, and then all of a sudden it comes out when she was 18 or 19, she was in an adult film, and then they fire her. I mean.
Well, the problem with that is I agree that if it's your personal life, that should not affect your job. But the problem is when it becomes known, when it becomes public knowledge, it's disruptive in the class.
Correct.
How can a girl or a guy that's been in a porno successfully, productively teach a class when it's known and the kids are passing around the video on their phones? You cannot
That's
teach.
right.
You really want your kid to have that as their role model?
Uh-huh.
No. Same with the swingers. Once it becomes public, it's a problem. If Emily was in high school and she said, "Oh my," and one of her teachers was on the news for swinging, I sure as hell wouldn't be happy about it.
No.
I mean, kids look up to their teachers. What is that telling your kid?
When those swinging teachers or the ex-adult film teachers were fired, the reason they said was what Kathy just said. It's disruptive to the classroom when this is known.
It is. Once it's known, it's disruptive.
So the pride flag shouldn't be there. Now, the Black Lives Matter flags, here's the thing with the Black Lives Matter flags, okay? That doesn't belong either. And I'll tell you, when Hillary was running for president against Donald Trump, and her running mate, Kane, was giving a speech to the Urban League, he said, "Black lives matter, all lives matter." And then he got booed. And then he had to go back on stage later in the day and apologize for saying all lives matter.
I remember that was a big mess.
Remember that?
I remember that.
And
what a jerk.
And I know, isn't that crazy? And Black Lives Matter, but Black Lives Matter came out of the shooting of Trayvon Martin here in Florida with George Zimmerman and everything else. And I don't want to get sidetracked into the Zimmerman Trayvon thing because it was a bit of a controversy, and I don't want to.
That was awful.
I don't. If I explain the controversy, it'll take 30 minutes, and I don't want to get sidetracked on that. But Black Lives Matter has become a racist, segregationist movement that has morphed from what it was formed into this critical race theory and other things. Where we were talking on the podcast over the weekend how in Minneapolis they want to fire white teachers ahead of teachers of color, even above seniority and tenure and all that. That's what Black Lives Matter has morphed into. It's a segregationist flag, the Black Lives Matter flag. It's incredibly disruptive, and it doesn't belong in a classroom either.
And they're having a lot of problems around the country with teacher shortages. This doesn't help.
No, it doesn't.
These kinds of things getting so political. Why do they think they're having a shortage? There's the safety concern, but a lot of it has to do with the politics.
Yeah.
And getting politically involved like this, it's not helping recruit teachers.
No.
It's a repellent. They just assume all teachers are just radical left-wing liberals. That's not true. I would say right now probably 30% are conservative openly, maybe even more. But that shouldn't even matter. I think people just don't want to go into the profession they're worried about their safety because the schools are not protecting these kids or the teachers. They're doing jack squat to protect them. And I think also the political issue, and also when you're a teacher and you have a whole classroom full of kids with cell phones, they could whip out their phone at any time and record you and jam you up. I would not want to be a teacher. In fact, I told you if I was still teaching, if I'd still been teaching, it would have been 20 years next year that I was teaching. So I started in 2003. I would tell you I'm retiring next year after 20 years because I don't want to deal with this nonsense anymore. It's not an appealing vocation anymore. Getting political and doing all this, I think it's turning people away from this career. They're trying to give them raises and throwing money at them, but it seems like too much of an aggravation. Plus, kids these days are annoying as hell. I mean, who wants to teach these brats that get all upset at the slightest thing you say that they don't like, and they run and tell on you, and you get in trouble?
I'm hearing all these stories that they're lowering the requirements for teachers. That's not true. When I was in high school, which was in the 80s, I graduated in 89. Okay. There were teachers in the school that didn't go to the teacher's college. Like, I remember one year in 9th or 10th grade, I took a drafting class. The guy that taught the drafting class was a guy that worked as a drafter.
That's right.
What
about the shop teacher?
Yeah, we had auto shop.
That's
okay.
Right.
We had like an auto garage at the school. The guy that taught that, he was not a college graduate. He was a certified, experienced auto mechanic, and he taught the class. I've had math teachers that were. I had one math teacher in college that was an accountant. Now, they had a degree, but it was in accounting, and they became a teacher. What they're talking about are having these left-wing ideological degrees that are about teaching you a way to think, not a skill.
Well, I think they're concerned if they have teachers. By the way, I didn't have a degree in education. I have an art history degree, and I was a minor in English, so I took a few extra English courses.
You taught English.
And I taught English.
Arts,
I had to take like 4 classes and do a test, whatever, so I got certified in English. But I think their concern also is if they don't get teachers that have an education degree, they haven't been indoctrinated
into
in the
left
colleges.
Wing. Yeah, that's right.
Because there's definitely indoctrination going on in the education departments of these universities, no doubt about it. And if they bring in teachers that don't have that degree, they haven't been brainwashed. So, and plus, if they're older, if they're retired, they don't want these conservative teachers coming in and messing everything up. They want kids that are 23 years old right out of the university that have been brainwashed, that they continue to manipulate and control.
Let me give an example.
They don't want a 45-year-old fireman who's retired.
That's right.
Who can think for himself. No. That's a bad idea.
When I was in college, what I majored in was history and education. Okay. My second major, education, was more specific. It was social studies education, so I could teach history, social studies, government, citizenship, et cetera, et cetera. And so I had to take some of these teacher courses at the College of Education at the university, and it was crazy. Okay, like I remember they would bring in guest speakers and guest lecturers. And they brought in this one lecturer. I cannot remember what group it was from, but they brought in this one guest lecturer into one of my teacher classes. And they had a big bag of candy like you get for Halloween, like at the Walmart that you hand out to the kids. Mm-hmm. And they took all of us in the classroom and set us up in different categories. Okay, you students, you're Africa. These students, you're Asia. You're the United States. You're South America, blah, blah. And the teacher went around and handed us candy, and every group got a different amount of candy. Oh. And the group of us that were I was in the United States, I don't know, just coincidentally, but
maybe not. Maybe because you're white.
Maybe. The group that was the United States, we got the most candy.
Of course.
And what the candy represented was the amount of waste that is produced by each of these regions of the world. And the United States has more waste, produces more waste than any place else. That's the kind of liberal indoctrination. I had another class.
Exactly. They pump you out of those schools hating America, hating American values. And that's why they don't want to hire older teachers that haven't been brainwashed in these education camps.
Now, they brought in another guest lecturer. This was a college professor from Munich, Germany. Okay? And this was in one of my education classes, right? And remember, I'm taking education classes learning how to teach social studies, civics, government, and American history. So this was one of my education classes. They brought in this guest professor from some University of Munich. He was from a university in Munich, and very heavy German accent. And he gave us this whole lecture about nationalism. He says in Germany and Europe, we don't even understand this nationalism. And here in America, it's all about the red, white. And I'm thinking, he's from Munich, Germany. They invented nationalism, right? They're the Nazis over there.
Exactly.
This guy's the grandson of Nazis. But this was I was pretty much the oldest guy in the class because I went to college as an adult. Everybody else is like 19, 20. It's like Kathy said. So they're hearing this lecture from this grandchild of Nazis telling social studies teachers of the future how teaching American nationalism is a bad thing.
Right.
And I think
this is what they do. And this is what they do in the education courses.
That's
and
right.
I would imagine, and you went to school like 15 years ago, I would imagine, maybe longer, I can't remember, that even now today, it is even more intensive with the liberal brainwashing. And that's why they really do not want teachers, like I said, who do not have a degree in education, because they have not been brainwashed
into that liberal anti-Americanism.
They want to create, what they've done is they've turned schools into little brainwashing camps. And now they're getting them younger and younger and younger, like starting in preschool, kindergarten, and they're indoctrinating them very young. And I'm not saying pull your kids out of school. I don't agree with that at all. We should not, like Brian has said, we should not turn these schools over. But what you should do is get more involved, go through your students' folders every day, go through their homework, have regular parent conferences. How many parents have kids in school, they haven't even stepped foot in the classroom?
Yeah.
Go to the classroom, meet the teacher. If the teacher has green hair, be a little suspicious.
That's for sure.
Okay? If they have rainbows in the classroom, say, I want my kid out of this class. You can do that and tell the principal, I don't want my kid in that classroom. Sorry.
Yeah.
Look at what's going on with the walls. Check the study plans. Read through it. Get involved. Pay attention. That's all you have to do. I still think kids should stay in school. I don't agree with homeschooling. I think they should be in school. I think it's better for them socially and academically. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah.
From experience. But pay attention, see what's going on, and you do have a voice. And if you're not happy with the way things are going in your kid's school or their education, same thing if your kid's going to college. Research the college. Find out what kind of courses they offer. You said at Harvard they have a course that studies Republican.
David Hogg was
Republican something.
David Hogg. I read an article somewhere a few weeks ago about David Hogg at where's he go? Harvard.
Yeah,
but like it was Vanity Fair or something like this. He's taking a course, the history of American right-wing movements. Yeah.
So obviously they're going to teach.
I'd love to take that course.
Class teaches the kids how bad we are and how
that means we're
Nazis.
Yeah.
Exactly. Look at what the class offers the school and tell your kid, I'm not paying for this education. If you go to this college, they're going to brainwash you. It happens. There are kids that leave home perfectly fine, and they go away to college and they come back a-holes. It happens all the time, and the parents pay for it.
Now, listen, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, there's a lot more to talk about. Don't go anywhere. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. Back after this.
Are your mornings ready for an upgrade? The Morning Upgrade Podcast with Ryan Cote is all about personal development. By having a strong morning routine, you can change your life for the better. In fact, the right morning can be the catalyst to success and growth in your life. It's all about investing in yourself and personal growth in the right direction, making positive changes in your morning routine to get the results in life that you want. Striving to be a better version of yourself is a goal that never should end. We all need to work on improving ourselves. Being our best selves impacts everyone around us, and it starts with the right attitude and the right morning routine. Add the Morning Upgrade Podcast to your podcast playlist, available on Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, Spotify, your favorite podcast player, and morningupgrade.com. Make sure to sign up for the newsletter, the Morning Upgrade Podcast with Ryan Cote. If you have a passion for food, there are two guys you will want to know. The Wandering Food Dudes. Located in Seattle, Washington, these two awesome foodies are on the hunt for the most awesome food in the world. Their goal is to travel the globe and help small businesses and people by showcasing their culture and their food. Join Fish and Poetic on their food adventures. You can find them on YouTube and Instagram. They love all things food and have a great time talking about it and eating it. Check them out right now. The Wandering Food Dudes on YouTube and Instagram. Anxiety is the most common issue in the world of mental health. The book from author Jason R. Sullivan, Quiet Chaos, available on Amazon, discusses the treatment and reflects on how to deal with anxiety issues in a completely different way. Quiet Chaos doesn't tell you to work harder and look happier, nor does it tell you to fake it until you make it. Rather, it expresses the importance of struggle and the power of intimacy in the hearts and minds of those dealing with anxiety. This must-read and life-changing book is a deeply honest conversation between the author and the reader, a conversation that could just change the way you see yourself and the world around you. Quiet Chaos from author Jason R. Sullivan is available on Amazon. It can help you or someone you care about. Order your copy right now.
You are listening to the Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. I want to take a moment to thank all of our Patreon supporters for your support of the program. And, all our Patreon supporters, of course, have access to commercial-free editions of each and every podcast episode. And our top Patreon supporters get a live on-air thank you shout-out and their name listed in the description of every podcast episode. So the names you will hear now are our top Patreon supporters. I want to thank Andrew and Connie, Christine, Gary, ETW, Chuck, Dee, Pamela, Rick, Nick, Wesley, and Lay Paul. These are our top Patreon supporters. Thank you all. And if you would like to become a Patreon supporter, there is a link in the description of this and every episode. Go right there and I'll walk you through how to do it. So tomorrow is a very exciting day here in Florida. We get to go and vote for Ron DeSantis in the Republican primary, which I'm very excited about, voting for Ron DeSantis again. And I gave this warning many times this morning on the radio. I'm going to give it again now, and I'm going to do this on the radio tomorrow. And now I'm not speaking for states outside of Florida, okay? I'm just talking about Florida because that's where I've lived almost my entire life, and my entire adult life I've been in Florida, and I've not voted in any state other than Florida. In the state of Florida, I don't know what they require in other states. I'm just talking about Florida because I mentioned this today, and I'm getting all this. I'm in Wisconsin, and I'm here, and I'm in Nevada, and I'm in Florida. I'm just talking about Florida. In Florida, you can wear your Trump gear when you vote. It is not against the rules, and it is not against the law, and don't let anyone tell you different when you go there. Now, by law, candidates and campaigns have to be, I believe it's 150 feet away from a polling location. I might be wrong on the feet, but there's a certain number of feet that you can't campaign within a polling location. But when I go and vote tomorrow, I'm going to be wearing my Make America Great Again hat, just like last time, okay? And no one can tell you in Florida you can't wear your MAGA hat or your Trump gear or your Trump shirt or anything else. And, it depends on where you go and vote, but you will oftentimes run into trouble with these poll watchers, okay? Poll watchers are partisan. There's a Democrat and a Republican poll watcher always, and sometimes poll watchers will get involved and tell you this and tell you that. They are not referees. They are not umpires. They are not local sheriffs. They are watchers, poll watchers. They are to watch and observe. And if they see something wrong, they can take note of it.
You had somebody come up to you when you took Emily.
I did. I'll tell that story again because this is what I'm
totally
talking about.
Out of line.
Poll watchers can be very nasty if they are the Democrat poll watcher. But the problem is, a lot of the Republican poll watchers are never Trumpers. And poll watchers are not to speak to you. I had an issue happen when our daughter was much younger. She's a grown woman now, 23. But I always took her to vote with me because I wanted her to see it. And it worked out well because now she votes Republican. She voted for Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis last time. And I know she'll do the right thing in November. We taught her right and she votes right. But I can't remember how old she was, but she was a little girl, and I took her to vote with me, and she was standing at the little poll. What do you call the thing when you vote on the little poll box thing, the ballot box? Mm-hmm. Where you fill out your ballot, and I'm filling out my ballot, and I'm talking to my daughter and showing it to her because she so she can see how you vote. And I'm telling her this is how it is and this is how it works. The poll watcher, one of the poll watchers comes up to me and says, and talks to her and says, you can't talk to the voter. He's like pointed at her. She's a little girl. And I said, she's my daughter. She's talking to me. And then he says, you're not allowed to interfere with the voter. I said, she's not interfering with the voter. I'm the voter. She's my daughter. Then he looks at her again and says, you've got to wait outside while he votes. And I said, she's a little kid. She's not waiting outside while I'm in here voting. She's going to stay with me. And he said, she's interfering with the voter. I said, you were interfering with the voter.
Exactly.
So, so
what happened? How did it end
I completed doing what I was doing and showed her how it worked. And then when we
got a lot of nerve,
when we went to turn in the ballots into the box, the other poll watcher, the Republican poll watcher, he gave me the sticker I voted today to put on my shirt. And then he said, here, little girl. And he handed our daughter a sticker. And as she reached for it, the Democrat poll watcher ripped the sticker from the guy's hand and said, she did not vote. She doesn't get a sticker. Stickers are. And I said, oh, you're the Democrat poll watcher, aren't you?
Exactly.
And then I told.
They're just unhappy.
Then
people.
I told my daughter, see how Democrats are?
Exactly.
This is how Democrats are. But
True.
But if you go into and that is a true story. I could not believe
they own slaves too.
Democrats, absolutely. And
they're just scum.
So if you're in Florida and you go and vote in the Republican primary tomorrow, which you should, everyone needs to vote. And it's a big deal. I usually don't make a big deal about it, but it's a big deal. It's about the primaries.
Well, I think you made a good point because DeSantis is running unopposed.
That's why I'm talking about it nonstop.
There's other races.
That's
for
right.
Our district, we need to vote for Joe Budd.
That's
There's
right.
other races that are important. Laura Loomer.
Our great governor, Ron DeSantis, is running unopposed in the Florida primary.
Amazing.
So a lot of Republicans feel, what's the bother? Ron's going to get it. There are other people on the ballot. You need to go out and vote for them.
Yes.
Okay, we need to have, like on our congressional ballot, Joe Budd, who's a friend of mine, he lives down the street. He's running for Congress. I had him on the radio.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be voting for him. But you need to go and vote for these other races, and do not let these Democrat or never Trump or Republican poll watchers intimidate you. In Florida, you can wear your Make America Great Again hat and your Trump gear. Don't let them tell you can't, because what they'll do sometimes is they'll tell you that you can't be wearing that Trump shirt. It's a violation. You got to go home and change. And they hope you don't come back. I had an incident when I went to vote once. This was one of George W. Bush's elections, and it was a busy election. And I left my wallet in the car, and it was a long line to vote, and I didn't have my ID. So they told me I had to go out and get my driver's license. That's fine. And I said, can I just come up to you? And they said, no, you got to wait in line again. And it was like an hour-long wait. That's a Democrat poll watcher. You know what I mean? So I waited in line again. You got to do what you got to do, but you got to stand up for your rights when you go and vote. Don't be pushed around by poll watchers. And I got to tell you, you MAGA people out there, if you can, it's too late for tomorrow, but we've got the general election coming up in November. We really need MAGA poll watchers. You can volunteer. You call your local supervisor of elections office and tell them you would like to volunteer to be a poll watcher. Mm-hmm. And they'll find a position for you.
No, my stepmother just started volunteering for the Republican Party.
Yeah,
about 3 months ago, and she is volunteering as a poll worker. And she is hardcore MAGA, and she
it's important.
Said, "I feel I really have to get involved." It is very, very important that we get more politically involved. A lot of people complain, and I understand your complaints, but and you have a right to complain. But if you can do something about it, a lot of people say, what can I do? What can I do? We hear that all the time. That is something huge that you can do, is volunteer to be a poll worker. That is something you can definitely do, and just go. You probably have to sit through a brief, whatever they call it.
Like a little training
session. And then you tell them how many hours and whatever, and all you got to do, it's not hard. You just sit there and hand out papers and collect them. That's pretty much it. Look at IDs and that's it. But definitely that is something I would do that if I could. I'm just not reliable enough at all. I'm very, I don't feel good most of the time. I don't even feel good right now. And that's just the way it is. But if I could, I would definitely do it. And I encourage all of you to do something like that.
Yeah. And, they do it in shifts, and they're short shifts. And, other than that one incident that I told you about with our daughter, I've not had a problem with poll watchers. Well, the one that made me wait in line, I don't count that, but I'm talking about the guy getting nasty. And the guy got nasty because that was before Trump came down the escalator. Trump wasn't on the ballot.
Yeah.
But I always wear a T-shirt or a hat for whoever my guy is at the time. So he, they know you're a Republican because they give you your ballot and everything else. They check your ID and make sure you're registered. So they know you're a Republican or a Democrat.
I think that should be a secret. I don't think the poll watchers should know what you're registered
Well, they
as.
have to check your registration,
Yeah,
and it
but why
says so
does-
on your registration. Like tomorrow on the primary
Yeah, I guess,
in Florida,
I guess it has to,
Florida, you can only vote for candidates in the party in which you're registered.
true.
So when we go and vote tomorrow, we're going to get a Republican ballot with just Republicans on it. There will be no Democrats on our ballot. And I'll tell you another thing I do that a lot of people don't. If when I'm voting, a lot of times there's people there that I don't know. Like there'll be someone running for some office, sewage commissioner or something.
Yeah.
I don't know who they are. I've not heard of any of them. I leave that blank. It's okay to leave things blank on a ballot. A lot of times people, they figure, well, I can't leave anything blank. You don't know, if you don't know who or what you're voting for, leave it blank. And I'll tell you another thing I do. In Florida, we always have on our ballot with our judges at the Florida State Supreme Court, vote to retain, yes or no, right? And it has their name. I always vote no. Because these lifetime judges, like you can do that with our state Supreme Court. But if I don't know who someone is, like a lot of times there's judges, I don't know who any of them are.
I don't vote if I don't know.
If I don't know who they are,
No,
I don't vote. And sometimes there's like ordinances.
And with judges, you don't know the party. They don't have like a party affiliation.
Yeah, in Florida, judges run no party affiliation.
So you don't know if they lean to the right or to the left, or if
Now,
they let criminals go or whatever.
I have some friends that are judges here in South Florida that I've known for many years that are Republican.
I'll vote for them,
And I see them on a ballot, and if I didn't know them personally, I wouldn't know. And I don't want to – if I don't know who the judges are, I leave that blank too, because you don't want to be mistakenly vote for some Democrat to be a judge. You don't want a Democrat to be a judge. They're soft on crime.
When do you vote for the DA? That's an important one.
That's different everywhere. You need to know.
That
you
seems
need to
be
know
an issue.
And it also goes like if there's an ordinance or an
those
amendment.
Are so confusing.
If you do not understand it,
I never do.
Leave it blank. Because sometimes the way they word these things, if you vote yes, it means no, and no means yes.
Emily has come home many times from voting. And remember, she wanted to switch her party affiliation to Republican from Independent, so you need to help her with that because she doesn't know how to do it.
Believe me, I'll take care of that.
She asked me that about a month ago. But she came home from voting with you, and she's like, I don't understand these ordinances that are yes or nay or this or that. And I don't know. I can't remember what you told her to do. And I think I told her, just don't worry about it. Just don't vote on those.
If you don't understand
I usually skip those because I don't understand unless it's a specific thing like the Greyhound thing. I specifically read up on that and voted to stop the Greyhound because racetracks. I'm against that. And there was also making marijuana legal. I voted against that too. So if it's a specific ordinance that I really care about, I will make sure I understand what exact. But you really have to be careful with the language because they're very tricky. If you vote yes, it means no.
That's
no
true.
Means yes, and
it's
yes,
true.
It's
they
very
do that.
confusing.
They do that.
That's not an accident.
It's crazy how they do it. But I'm excited to go and vote for Ron DeSantis tomorrow, even though it's just the primary and he's running unopposed. He's
still on the ballot to vote for him even by himself.
Yeah. Sure.
Very cool.
Sure, he'll win. He's running against himself.
Of course.
But it'll be nice to go and vote.
It'll be interesting to see how many votes they tally for him. Do they tell you how many votes he gets? If he gets like 30 million or
they'll tell. Yeah.
I'd like to know.
This is going to be exciting because so many people have moved to Florida fleeing.
I'm saying I think it's going to be a big number.
Yeah, they've gone to Florida fleeing the tyranny of the North, and a lot of people will be voting Republican for the first time in their life.
And they can. And you know what? I bet there's a lot of people that can't wait to vote for him. So I think it's going to be a huge number.
Absolutely.
Tomorrow when we find out.
It's exciting. It's exciting. It really is.
They'll be very excited to vote for him for sure, I think.
And I'll tell you another thing. I never do the early vote. I did early vote a couple times when that first started. I always vote on election day.
Yeah.
And I find when you vote on election day, the lines are not bad. I usually walk right in and out.
I like it. Yeah, we've never had to wait.
So many people vote early that on election day, it's rarely crowded. But I'm definitely definitely going to wear my Make America Great Again hat. Are you going to wear your Women for Trump hat?
Sure.
Yeah, let them know. Wear it with pride. Just to tick off the Democrat poll watcher.
Yeah. I have that little pink hat. Yeah, I love it.
Do you guys, by the way, before we go, when you go in certain places with your Trump gear on, like your MAGA hats, do you feel like you're being judged by people sometimes? I do. Do you ever feel that way? Like people
Well,
are
I
looking
won't
at
wear
you?
them in a restaurant.
Oh, no. Unless it's Wings Plus in Coral Springs.
Well, yeah, that's the only place. I just refuse.
Like if we're out at the mall, we're out at a store, like we're at, Big
I've
Lots
never
or
had a
something.
bad experience.
No, but I see people looking at me. Like sometimes, like I was when I made my I made my vlog on the baby formula shortage a few weeks ago, and I went to Walmart and I had my MAGA hat on, and I saw this mother and her daughter. They just kept looking at me, and they're black, and they were just looking at me with a look, and I'm thinking that they think I'm in the Klan because I got a MAGA hat on. They've been so brainwashed.
Yeah. They're profiling you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
They're prejudging you. They're being prejudiced.
They're racially profiling me and also profiling me.
But meanwhile, she could wear a Black Lives Matter hat, and that'd be
correct.
all cool.
That's correct.
Even though they've destroyed businesses across America.
Correct. Well, listen, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. We will talk to you next time. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. Thanks for listening.
Finding the right graphics for your project is key if you want to look professional and be effective in your messaging. Digital Art by Feigl. That's all one word on Etsy.com has the right graphics for your needs. Whether you need a logo or video intro, this store has an amazing selection of digital graphics that you can use for any project. Want to make your YouTube video stand out? No problem. They have exactly what you were looking for. They also carry digital wall art of their designs to hang on the wall. Just print and they're ready to frame. Get the right logo for your product or brand. Check out Digital Art by Feigl on Etsy.com.